There are certain roads people avoid after dark. Not because they're dangerous, not because they're isolated, but because of the stories. The kinds of stories people whisper about late at night, and then immediately regret talking about. Tonight's story takes place on one of those roads, a lonely stretch of highway hidden deep in the countryside. A road surrounded by endless trees, heavy fog, and almost no signal. Locals have a name for it. They call it Widow's Pass. And according to the people who live nearby, if you drive there after midnight, you might see someone standing on the side of the road. A hitchhiker, alone, silent, waiting. And if you stop for them, there's a chance they'll never leave your car. Or worse, maybe they were never alive to begin with. This story happened to a man named Daniel. At least, that's the name people use when they tell it. Daniel was a delivery driver in his early 30s, the kind of guy who worked long hours and barely slept. He didn't believe in ghosts, didn't believe in curses, didn't believe in anything supernatural at all. In fact, he used to laugh at stories like this, until one night he became part of one. It was late October, cold, rainy, the kind of night where fog sticks low to the ground and headlights barely cut through the darkness. Daniel had just finished a delivery in a small town several hours away from home. He was exhausted. His GPS kept losing signal, and his phone battery was nearly dead. There was only one road left that could get him home before morning: Widow's Pass. Most locals avoided it at night, but Daniel didn't care. To him, it was just another road. Around 1:15 in the morning, Daniel turned onto the highway. The road was completely empty. No cars, no houses, no streetlights, just darkness. Rain tapped against the windshield while the wipers squeaked back and forth. For nearly 20 minutes, nothing happened. Then, he saw someone. Standing on the shoulder of the road, a young woman. She was wearing a pale gray coat that looked soaked from the rain. Her long black hair covered part of her face. And despite the freezing weather, she wasn't holding an umbrella. Daniel slowed the truck. At first, he considered driving past her, but something about the way she stood there bothered him. She wasn't waving, wasn't asking for help. She was just standing completely still, like she'd been waiting. Daniel rolled down the window slightly. "You okay?" he asked. The woman slowly leaned toward the window, and when she spoke, her voice was strangely calm. "Can you take me to Blackridge?" Blackridge was a small town about 30 minutes ahead. Daniel hesitated. Something felt off. The woman looked pale, almost unnaturally pale, and even though rain poured around her, her clothes barely seemed wet. Still, he felt bad leaving her alone, so he unlocked the passenger door. The woman climbed inside. The moment she entered the truck, Daniel noticed something strange. The temperature dropped instantly. The inside of the vehicle suddenly felt freezing cold. Daniel adjusted the heater, but it didn't help. For a while, neither of them spoke. The woman stared forward silently, hands folded in her lap. Daniel tried making conversation. "Rough night?" No response. "You live in Blackridge?" After a long pause, she finally nodded. That was it. Something about her silence made Daniel uneasy. So he focused on the road. Rain hammered harder against the windshield. Fog thickened around the highway. And then, Daniel noticed something in the rearview mirror. A pair of headlights. A car behind them. At first, he thought nothing of it. But the lights stayed unnaturally close. Too close. Almost like the car was following them. Daniel glanced at the passenger seat. The woman was still staring forward, completely expressionless. "You know that car?" Daniel asked. No answer. The headlights behind them suddenly flashed once, then twice. Daniel felt his stomach tighten. The road narrowed as the forest closed in around them. Tree branches scraped against the sides of the truck. Then the woman finally spoke, very quietly. "Don't stop the car." Daniel looked at her. "What?" Her eyes remained fixed on the windshield. "Whatever happens," she whispered, "don't stop." Daniel's heartbeat quickened. The headlights behind them grew brighter, closer. Then suddenly, bang! Something slammed against the back of the truck. Daniel nearly swerved off the road. "What the hell was that?" The woman said nothing. Another slam hit the vehicle, even harder this time. Daniel checked the mirror. For just a split second, he thought he saw someone. A figure, standing in the middle of the road behind them. Tall, distorted. Then it vanished into the fog. Daniel gripped the steering wheel tighter. Every instinct told him to stop. But the woman's warning echoed in his head. Don't stop the car. The headlights behind them suddenly disappeared. Gone. Just like that. The road became silent again. Too silent. What is going on? No response. He turned toward the passenger seat and froze. The seat was empty. The woman was gone. Daniel slammed on the brakes. The truck skidded across the wet road before finally stopping sideways. His breathing became frantic. He looked everywhere. Back seat, floor, outside the windows. Nothing. The passenger door was still locked. There was no way she could have left. Daniel grabbed his flashlight and stepped outside into the rain. The forest around him was completely silent. No footsteps, no movement, just fog. Then he noticed something. On the passenger seat, there was water. Not just a few drops, a puddle. And lying in the center of it was a small silver necklace. Daniel stared at it. The necklace had an old photo inside, a young woman, the same woman he had picked up. His hands shook as he snapped the necklace shut. At that moment, his phone suddenly regained signal. Without thinking, Daniel got back in the truck and drove straight to Black Ridge. He stopped at the only place still open, a small gas station near the edge of town. Inside, an older cashier looked up as Daniel entered. Daniel immediately asked if anyone knew the woman from the photo. The cashier took one look at the necklace, and his face changed instantly. The man became pale. "Where did you get this?" he asked. Daniel explained everything. The road, the hitchhiker, the disappearance. The cashier listened silently. Then finally, he said something Daniel would never forget. "You're not the first person." Daniel felt cold. The cashier explained that years earlier, a young woman named Emily Carter died on Widow's Pass. She was 22 years old. One rainy night, her car broke down near the highway. She tried hitchhiking home, but she never made it. According to police reports, she was struck by a speeding truck whose driver fled the scene. Her body wasn't found until the next morning, right there on the side of the road, exactly where Daniel had picked her up. Daniel stared at the cashier in disbelief. "That's impossible," he whispered. "I just talked to her." The cashier slowly nodded. Then he said something even worse. "People still see her." Daniel's stomach dropped. The cashier explained that for years, drivers reported seeing a young woman standing alone on Widow's Pass. Some picked her up, some didn't. But almost all of them claimed the same thing. She always vanished before reaching town. And sometimes, those drivers never came back. Daniel felt his throat go dry. "What do you mean?" The old man leaned closer. "They say Emily isn't the only thing on that road." The cashier explained that shortly after Emily's death, more accidents began happening on Widow's Pass. Drivers claimed they saw strange figures in the fog. Others reported being followed by headlights that disappeared into thin air. And a few survivors described something standing in the road behind them. Something tall, something wrong. Exactly what Daniel had seen in his mirror. The cashier looked at him carefully. "Did she tell you not to stop the car?" Daniel slowly nodded. The old man looked genuinely disturbed. "That means she saved you." Silence filled the gas station. Rain continued pounding outside. Daniel suddenly remembered the violent impact against the truck, the headlights, the figure in the road. If he had stopped, what would have happened? The cashier never answered, because he didn't have to. Daniel left the gas station before sunrise. But before he did, he handed the necklace to the cashier. The old man refused to take it. He told Daniel the necklace always comes back, no matter who keeps it. Daniel drove home in silence. For weeks afterward, he barely slept. Every night he replayed the encounter in his head. The woman's face, her voice, the freezing cold inside the truck, and the moment she disappeared. Eventually, Daniel tried convincing himself it was stress, exhaustion, hallucinations, anything but the truth. Then 1 month later, he found the necklace again, sitting on the passenger seat of his truck, exactly where she had left it, even though he never brought it home. Daniel reportedly quit his delivery job shortly after. Some people say he moved away. Others claim he became obsessed with researching the road. But the strangest part of the story happened years later. Another driver stopped at a gas station near Blackridge, shaking, terrified. The driver claimed he picked up a woman on Widow's Pass, a pale young woman wearing a gray coat, and before she vanished, she warned him not to stop the car. When the driver showed the cashier the necklace she left behind, there was something new inside the locket. A second photo. Not Emily. Daniel. Maybe it's just an urban legend. Maybe exhaustion and darkness can make people imagine impossible things. But if you ever find yourself driving down an empty road late at night, and you see someone standing alone in the rain, think carefully before you stop. Because sometimes, the people asking for a ride aren't trying to get home. They're trying to warn you.